Hey, what's up, comrades? All right, so moving forward and backwards in time, we head to the 90s where Black Ops 6 takes place. So Black Ops 6 is, at the time of my playing these games and recording, the newest Call of Duty game that has been released. And it is very, very good. Now, my understanding from my friends who play the multiplayer or Warzone or whatever is that it's full of cheaters and that they're having a real hard time stopping that situation and that the multiplayer kind of sucks. But I don't give a fuck about that. The single player and the story in this and the levels are fantastic across the board. We're like, this is like peak Call of Duty. This is like, I'm playing this and even like watching my old videos as I like write down my notes after I played it to like think about the game and the story and how it all connects together and whatever, so I can do my little story time with y'all. Wait a second. Oh, there are my notes. Fuck. I thought I got deleted. I was like, God damn it. It took like an hour or two to compile all this shit. Anyway, it reminds me of playing through Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the good ones. Oh, we'll get there. Starting in 2 weeks when I cover Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. Whew. I have a lot of thoughts. Anyway, but Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is not that. It is excellent. So, the Black Ops games, I never played Black Ops Duty 4 or Black Ops 4 because it was only multiplayer. But all the rest of them are excellent first-person shooters. They have a lot of stuff going on. The stories are wacky, but like in a fun Black Ops like kind of secret way. Like each one like iterates on like the previous one. I'm not a big zombies guy, but people love that shit. Like at some point you had Infinity Ward and Treyarch, and everyone like down on Treyarch. But I gotta say, I don't know. I don't give a fuck what people's opinions are, because that was my opinion too. I was like, Modern Warfare is so good that when I'm playing like World at War or even the first Black Ops, I'm like, I'm enjoying this. And Reznov is peak. But the Modern Warfare games are like stupendous. But playing back through these, I am like, I forgot how like truly enjoyable the campaign for these games are, and how like crazy and interesting all the little stuff is. And Treyarch, man, they're cooking with this one. Like, I'm not joking. Like, if you like the Black Ops single player mode, right, the story, the intrigue, all the little like typical Black Ops shit you do, like I'm playing through this one and there's just so many good levels. Like there's like a couple of levels where you just go bang, 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 right, which is like the typical Modern Warfare kind of like what you expect, right? But so much of it is like doing this, doing that, and then there'll be like a shootout section. There's a lot of sneaking. It's Black Ops. Like it's so good. Like, oh man, it takes everything from like Cold War, and like Cold War was great, and it's like it makes it even better. Like there was like in Cold War a couple times I'm playing through it, and I'm like, oh, we're doing a lot of shooting and like running around. I don't know. This is getting kind of like derivative, if you will. But in Black Ops 6, there was like, man, there's so many levels, and like even like the sneaking levels are different, and they're like different setups and like different kind of things you got to do, and it was just like, man, I enjoyed it thoroughly, and so I'm excited to talk about it because, and hopefully, the rumor on the street is that the next game that's going to come out in 2025, which is the year I'm watching all these and doing this and releasing these videos, is going to be a continuation of the Black Ops side and not the new Modern Warfare side, which would be great, because a new Modern Warfare, bro, we'll get into it. All right, so go ahead, like, share, subscribe, comment. And Black Ops 6 takes us, like I said, into the 90s, right at the end of Black Ops 2. The past portions, we're like rubbing up into the 90s, right? We're doing like stuff in Panama with Noriega and all that good stuff. And so coming directly from there, we head into Operation Desert Storm, right, which is where this game really opens up. Well, where it really opens up is we're in a CIA meeting, and we meet like two new characters and one old beloved Black Ops character, Woods, who's in his wheelchair, right, because he got jacked up in the previous continuity, right? Not in the previous game. The previous game from release would have been Cold War, but in the chronological viewpoint, this game's coming right after Black Ops 2, where all that shit went down. And it follows up, and it makes some commentary on it, and it was good because it's like referencing a game that came out like over a decade before this one. And so people are coming into this playing, like dude, kids playing this game in their like 20s have like probably never even have no idea what Black Ops 2 is. I don't know if it's on Game Pass or anything. I don't think it is. Otherwise, I would have just played it there. So it's nice that they do some throwbacks because you're playing. They expect. I think they handled it well. They covered enough of kind of like the key points that would have been carried forward by Woods for Black Ops 2. Especially because in you're playing Cold War, and there's like the Brotherhood, the gay duo of Woods and Mason, and then you play Black Ops 6, which is the next Black Ops games that came out. If you're just playing them like in modern times, and you're like, what happened to Mason? so they got to talk about it. And they bring it up a few different times and talk about it, and like Adler's tied into it because Adler's like part of this whole thing now, and that's great because Adler is a fantastic addition of a character, I must say. And the other new characters that come into this game, some of them are good. I'm thinking, sorry. I think I like all of them. Like, one of them is kind of like, every time I see them, I'm like, ugh. Like, this definitely had like the effect of like the woke bullshit that's been going on the last few years. Hopefully we're like cruising out of that as fast as humanly possible. But as a written character, she is fine. She just had like 55 too many hits in the face by woke ideology. But the way she's written in game is decent. She's no Park. Park. Don't worry, she returns in this game as well. But the main villain is also excellently written. And the characters are, in general, very well written. As Treyarch's cooking. I don't know what else to say. It's so good. Okay, so like I said, it opens up, and we have a gentleman named Livingston, and he's yelling at kind of like the main characters of the story. There's Marshall. He's like the lead operator of this like CIA team, and then there's like his mentor, Haro. And I say mentor, I don't think it's ever like fully defined, but they're like close. It almost implies that there's like a romantic relationship. Haro's a woman. Between Haro and Marshall, but it never expands upon it, which again is like, this is excellent writing because I'm thinking about it. I'm like, because they talk about a relationship, and then there's like stuff that happens later on, and it becomes like very like emotional and very intense, and it's like, but it's never like we were fucking. Like they have like some story right after this portion where they're like in her office, and he's looking at like a picture, and she's like, "Oh, you remember Paris or something?" I don't remember exactly what city it was, and he's like, "Yeah," and there's like a drawing of her that clearly he did, and it's like, were they fucking? And then he was drawing a picture of her naked, like, right? But then there's also like a work relationship that's pretty tight there too, so it's very well written. And then Woods is there being fucking Woods in his goddamn wheelchair, and Woods is always bad. I don't know how after like what game is this? The only one Woods isn't in is he's not in World at War, which is technically like a prologue, and he's not in Black Ops 3, but he's in all the rest of them. So that's like 1, 2, Cold War, 6. 1, 2, Cold War. Cold War is technically 5. No one's in 4. So he's in 4 of these games over like decades at this point, and he's still consistently written like fucking Woods, and he's excellent all around. Hell yeah, brother. Anyway, wheelchair, of course. He's getting okay. Yeah, so they're all getting chewed out about this operation that took place, and it's 1991, and it's Kuwait, and like I said, Operation Desert Storm. So then we head to Operation Desert Storm, and for most of the game, we're playing as Case, and Cases are like silent protagonists. These are like Bell or Mason. From the first game and from the Cold War game. And it's typical silent protagonist. This game does what the Cold War one does too, where we can like, he's not totally silent because we can go up and we can like have conversations with people, and you can like quote unquote ask questions. But there's no voice actor, and while stuff's going on, sometimes it gets awkward because people will be like, "What do you think, Case?" And then they just like move on without you saying anything or having like any opinion. Usually it's addressed more kind of casually, but because when people are usually in the game, when you're getting asked like a direct question, they will look you in the face and be like something, and then you'll have like one of like 3 or 4 choices to make, right? All right. Yeah, so, sorry, my wife called, I got a little distracted. Play Case, okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah. So then it's Case, Marshall, and Haro are in Kuwait, and we're tracking a convoy. We're trying to meet up. So there's Alawai, who is like the defense secretary for the Saddam Hussein regime, and he wants to like flip over to America, it seems. And so we're going to go like pick him up, but we gotta like attack this convoy, or I don't know if he even wants to flip. We're just gonna go get him because he's got like some information we might want or something. And so we call in an airstrike, and it blasts it like real fucking good. And then we just roll in there and we kill, and then we get to like the front vehicle and we pull Alawali out. After hitting the convoy, we get to the vehicle, pull him out, and oh yeah. So he starts talking about a deal, and then Marshall's like, "What deal? What the fuck are you talking?" That's right. So there wasn't a deal with us. We just wanted to go nab him as like a normal like CAA op, but then he's like, and bring him back to the CAA so we can get information so we can fight Iraq, which it's a lot of effort for like a very simple thing we were trying to do, to be honest. But then he's like, "Hey, what about the deal?" And Marshall's like, "What fucking deal?" And I was like, "I love Black Ops games so much." Yeah, it's so fast. We go into like the intrigue and like the covert ops stuff so fast. It's excellent. Like the Treyarch knows what we want. And at that point, Alawali mentions Pantheon, and we're like, "The fuck is Pantheon?" And then Marshall or Case, when Pantheon comes up, he gets one of those things. Now in the first game, whenever people would talk about stuff, Mason would see numbers, right? The numbers is a big theme. And then for Bell, there was some like other stuff where people like would repeat things multiple times or whatever. That kind of gave you a hint that something was off. And so with Case, it's like the screen kind of gets like weird, almost like a weird light kind of thing. It's hard to describe, like almost like a rainbow light, like on old TVs. Sometimes they like get fucked up, and then it happens real fast and then goes away. And then they start talking about like, what the fuck's Pantheon? And then he mentions like, oh. Yeah. So then we go back to the brief, and Livingston's like, right, so this Pantheon, this is some sort of like multi-national conglomerate force that does a bunch of secret shit. And we're like, yep, right. That's so fucking good. He said like, so what? And Marshall's like, hey, that's where things got complicated. So then we go back to Kuwait, and then we're following a Pantheon convoy from an overlook. And then it's time to kill indiscriminately. So we get like a little RC car. These games fucking love this RC car thing. And with a C4, and we roll it into the convoy, and then it's like time to kill. And so we kill, and we kill some more, and then we get to like a canyon, and we're killing some more. And I was kind of confused because it seems like, so Pantheon's coming to get Alawai, so we need to get to like our exfil spot. But to get the exfil spot, we got to go through Pantheon, who's also here to get Alawai because he has like information they want or something. So we're gonna take him back to the CAA. And then when we finally get to like the extraction point, who rolls up but Adler? Hell yeah, brother! It's Adler. I love that motherfucker. So Adler kills Alawali. Wah wah wah. And it's like, and so we arrest him. Right? Because what the fuck are you doing? And he's been on the run from the CAA for like a while. Why? Because fuck you. We'll find out later why. And he mentions that he had to kill Alawai because Pantheon can't get him, but neither can the CIA because the CIA is totally compromised. And in my head, I'm like, well, it must be compromised because it's fucking Adler and he's a psychopath. But he's always right. Oh man. And there's a whole like side story, like because Warzone has like storylines, I guess. I'm not playing that shit. You can Google it. But apparently, I looked into it for a second. But apparently, he was like after something that had to do with like the whole thing from like the Cold War games, like hunting somebody down from that organization and taking care of that. And he got like, I don't know. There's some bullshit story. I can't remember it all. I like glanced at somebody like trying to explain it for a minute, and I was like, I don't care. But anyway, so we nab him up and we get out of there. But first, yes, guess what we have to do? We get in our truck and we have to blow up a helicopter. Fuck yeah. Fucking helicopters. Of course. And at some point, he mentions to Marshall, Case, and Haro something about like Bishop takes Rook. And so then we head back to the debrief, sorry. And Adler is now in like a secret CIA prison, like black site prison. Levinson questions us about what Adler said about Bishop takes Rook. He specifically is asking Woods about it, and because they have a prior association, and Woods is like, I don't know what that fucking crazy dude's doing. Which immediately you're like, Woods definitely knows what that crazy dude's doing. Then the team gets told, you're on break, you're not going on any missions, just hang tight, and leave this whole Pantheon thing alone. As we're all leaving, Haru's like, come to my office right now. And so Marshall and, I think it's just Marshall. Is it Marshall and Woods? Yeah, Marshall and Woods head to Haru's office. That's where we see like the naked painting, and they talk a little bit about, oh, remember this bullshit? They get told that they can do what they want, obviously, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to keep looking for this Pantheon thing, and they're going to check out this Adler thing and whatnot. And that Haru can't be a part of it because she's like middle management or something, but that she will do what she can to like cover their tracks, essentially, or cover for them while she's in the sand and they're gone. But she can't give them like any support, like no monetary support, any of that stuff. And we also find a little bit later that all their bank accounts got like frozen and all this other stuff, so that they can't go off and do sneaky bullshit like CIA stuff, which is I love it. I love every second of it, of the whole thing. So then it's 3 days later, and we're in like, I think it's Bulgaria. I want to say it's somewhere in like Eastern Europe, and we're in the woods. So Marshall, Case, and Woods are traveling to some secret like ex-KGB mansion called Dun 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 the Rook. So that's what he was saying when he talked about the Bishop Takes the Rook. It's an old place that Adler, Woods, and Mason had found years ago, where the KGB came come bring people to like secretly imprison them and like beat them up and stuff. But they found it, kind of like like took it over and kind of like did some stuff to it, like claimed it as their own little secret hideaway spot, their little rustic romantic cabin in the woods, if you will, or Woods and Mason. Oh man. And then we get like a cute little scene, and Marshall is like walking around casing the point, like checking out everything, making sure it's clear, making sure there's not any bugs, any of that stuff, kind of setting up a little command center in like the living room, essentially. And we can walk around. We see notes from Adler about this and that, about hiding from the CIA. And then even like Woods and Marshall talk about how he was looking at this whole Pantheon thing, and then that he got blamed for the whole Panama thing that happened with Woods and Mason. And that, there was like money transferred from, what's his asshole, from the Black Ops 2 game, Menendez, to his bank account and shit like that. But Woods is like, I don't know if I believe that. Adler's a good guy. Anyway, there's also information about a woman named Dumas. It's like Svetlana or whatever, who functions out of Avalon. Avalon is like, it's like Venice, but it's like Venice mixed with like Sicily. It's a little like island nation that's like, or city that's completely made up just for this game, but it like combines a lot of like shady like Morocco, and it's got like casinos and like Italian mafia style, like Sicilian mafia style families, and a lot of canals and stuff. So it's like a hodgepodge of like Mediterranean cities for this thing, and it's cool. We go there a few times. Anyway, so Marshall was able to contact her about like this whole thing and to find out more about what Adler was talking about, and she's willing to meet up with Case in Avalon. But when Case gets there, before she helps, we're gonna need to like help her with some of the gangsters and some of that bullshit and stuff. So at that point, we open up the safe house. The safe house is just like the safe house from Cold War. It's a little more expansive, and there's like a huge, ridiculous like puzzle that we can solve. Oh, so we get some base building stuff in this, which is nice. It's very minimal. We can find money throughout the game, and then we can spend the money to like unlock 3 different stations, and each stations will have like perks that we can unlock with more money. And a lot of it's like you can cook grenades longer, you can cook grenades forever, you can you can equip more like body armor. This game's got body armor, which is nice. And then just stuff like that, like more accurate hip fire, crap like that. So that's nice. And then the biggest way to get money is to find these safes, and the safes always have like these puzzles, but the puzzles are really just like you find a radio, and then you tune the radio to like a frequency that is like you'd have to be completely retarded not to be able to figure it out how to do it, to be completely honest. It's like pretty straightforward. And then you can and then it opens a safe, and you get in the safe and you get like $1,000, and $1,000 goes a long way. And then you can just find like stacks of cash as you like meander about the different levels. So that's fun. You can like little base build your level, and then if you really want to, you can buy these like specific guns. I think they're mostly for multiplayer, by unlocking some of the stuff. I didn't unlock any of that stuff. I just unlocked all the perks to make the game a little smoother and more fun to play. But the one in the main base is like you gotta like play a piano, and you gotta play the piano the way that it's like written with black light on the walls, and you gotta go to this room and you gotta like memorize stuff and like learn a poem. It's like so fucking complicated to get this thing. And then it's hilarious because then it opens a safe in like Adler, the room that Adler was staying in, and you steal it. And if you take the money, then like later on, I guess spoiler, right, when Adler comes back to join the team, he makes some like snide comment about like, oh, people here robbing me while I'm not even around. And I'm like, yep, that's what we did. Oh, excellent. So good. So yeah, that's all fun. That's all good stuff. Money is just tension surroundings. We take the place. The Color, great feature. Yep. Okay. So then Marshall talks about a Felix guy. So Case is going to go to Avalon to get with Dumas and kind of get some more information and kind of figure out some stuff about Pantheon. Meanwhile, Marshall's going to head to somewhere. I didn't write it down. Germany, I think, to try to recruit Felix, who's like an ex-secret police guy who's really good with like electronic warfare. And after like the wall fell or whatever, he worked in like hacking and stuff, and then he became like a, I'm never going to kill again, and I'm going to do good things and not do bad things anymore. So he's going to go see if he can like recruit him while we try to go recruit Sev, or Dumas is what we call it right now. So then we talk a little bit about Pantheon infecting the CIA. We talk about moles, and then maybe Livingston's the mole because he really wanted us to not do that. And they talk about it so much, it's super obvious that it's not him because they spend way too much time speculating that it is. Marshall also talks a bit about Woods, how Woods been kind of a mentor figure as well for like the crew, which is like Marshall and Case, and how he's a good dude and he sticks around and does all this stuff. And there was more anyway all the time. Okay, so we talk. Yeah, Woods pretty much just explains like the base building aspects, like tutorial. So it's time to head up to Avalon. So when we're there, we get like a call or something. We go to like a phone booth, and we learn a lot about Dumas later. But essentially, she's like, seems like she's kind of like Moroccan or like North African. And she's the one I was talking about before, who it's like, I like her character, but every time I see her face, I'm like, ugh. Like, you couldn't like tone down the fact. I mean, I think she's supposed to be like in her 20s, but she looks like she's 75. Like, it's just like, ugh. And she's got like a shaved head, which is fine, actually. I'm totally fine with that. It's not attractive at all, but because she always wears disguises, it makes it a little bit easier to like wear hair and like other things or whatever. And actually, when a couple of times she has like a costume on, like a disguise, she actually looks decent, like halfway decent. But they really like pummeled her face with like woke nonsense. So sometimes it's like, ooh, I don't know about this. Which is interesting because like Haro, the other female we've been introduced thus far, she just looks like she's like 45, which she could be in the CIA. I mean, she's not gonna be running missions, but if she's like kind of middle-aged, she looks like it. Like, I don't know if she's supposed to be younger, but it seems like she's supposed to be in her 40s, just the way her character's written. So I don't know why Sev gets like the short end of the stick. It's like mind-blowing. I don't know. There's so many pretty like North African women too. Like, it's like you purposely went out of your way to do this. Anyway, so this level's pretty good. It's mostly like sneaky spy stuff. It's like sneaking around, hiding. We get like a silenced pistol. We can like drag people and throw them in the canal and stuff. But it starts off, we're at a phone booth, and we get we're using a phone booth. We get a little call, and it's like, check under this. And we get this picture, and it's a picture of Yannick. So Dumas, before she'll help us out, wants Yannick dead. And so if we head to like this church nearby and go up to like the bell tower or whatever, there'll be a sniper rifle. And then Yannick's actually on a yacht out in like the water, so we can kill him. And then Dumas will help us out with finding like the guild. And the guild is like kind of the big organization that runs like all the organized crime in Avalon. That has a bunch of different like families that are part of it. And like the heads of the guild are dealing or laundering money for, or somehow related to Pantheon, or they might know some stuff. So that was the lead that Adler was following that we got from his notes, that we're going to go try to figure that out. And also killing him will cause like a big distraction, and he's just a big time asshole anyway. So like, fuck that guy. Okay. So we sneak around, we sneak, we kill a bunch of dudes, we climb up to the tower, we take our shot. It's pretty fun. There's Yannick, and there's like, he's with all these bitches, right? And I say that not because they're actual bitches, but like he's like a party bro, and so that's how he referred to them as. Like, these women in bikinis are like surrounding him, and he's got like his hair out of his like buttoned up shirt kind of thing, and like gold rings and like gold glasses, and he's like, "Come here, bitches!" And so we snapped that motherfucker dead. And so everyone in the yacht starts freaking out, and then we gotta like, they're alerted that there's like some issues in the church, so we can sneak out of there, we can blast our way out of there, but it's still pretty fun. And then meets us. Oh, that's right. Okay, so then we eventually get to the point where Dumas is, and she's hiding in like a van, and so we hop in the van, and it's like the van's all set up for like with weapons and with costumes and stuff, and she starts explaining about how we're gonna go get the guild and how they're related to this Pantheon thing, and that she's gonna help us, and that we did a good job, and yada yada yada. So Sev takes us to this super fancy hotel where like the heads of the guild are like meeting or whatever. And she gets all dressed up with like a little fancy costume and whatnot. But us, nope, we're gonna sneak in through the ventilation shaft. That, or we can just like storm on in and start blasting our way through. It doesn't matter. I always choose the sneakier route, so I sneak through the ventilation shaft. I kill. Eventually, I like slip up, and so then it becomes just like shotgun out, blasting everyone to death. Life happens. It's pretty fun. At some point, Dumas, who's acting as a security guard in this whole situation, or Dumas is Sev, sorry, I should just use Sev, captures us, and then we get dragged in to meet the three assholes who are in charge. It's like this Indian woman or Middle Eastern woman, and then like fat guy, and then like muscle guys, and they're like the bosses, and there's some other like people in there, and they think we're from Pantheon, and they're like, "Hey, you already got your money, or you got what you want. What are you here to exhort us some more? Fuck you. We hate you guys. Blah blah blah." And then we kill one of them. We kill the woman. She like comes up and blah blah. And then the other two like run off. Dumas or Sev like throws us a weapon. And we're like, let's go. And so we chase them through the streets of like Avalon, which is like a cool Turkish bazaar thing. Again, Avalon is just like whatever it wants to be. It's like Mediterranean-ish, and then everything else is just like whatever's fun. And I 100% support this because the levels are fun. They're unique and different. It doesn't make any sense, but I don't give a fuck. And we come back here later, and it's even stupider. But it's like, but you know what? Fuck it. I'm having a great time. Like, nothing about this is boring or bad, unlike future games that we'll get into, which are very boring and very bad. But Treyarch crushing it. Just crushing it. Eventually, we have to like blow up a car with one of them in it. Super Red Scene, it like flips out, and we walk up and like shoot him again in the head. Just be like, "Fuck you, you're dead." Then it's time to head to the safe house. At this point, Seb officially joins the team. Also, while we were doing all that fun stuff in Avalon, Marshall went out to Germany and like picked up Felix. Felix is like super German looking, like white hair, like not white, but like super, like platinum blonde, blue eyes, pale as like a ghost, and sass mouth. Like everyone here is kind of a sass mouth, to be completely honest. So he's an ex-Stasi, great hacker, all that good stuff. Marshall's like, "Hey kid, you did good." So we all gather together to discuss the next step. So the next step is to rescue Adler. Adler's in a DC black site right underneath some like convention hall. Felix is briefing us about it. We got to utilize the vulnerabilities to break in and get Adler out. So you need a retinal scan, or I think you can use a card or a retinal scan, but no. We need a retinal scan and a card maybe. So we got to figure out a way to do that. And so what we're going to do is there is a big fundraiser thing for the governor, Clinton, who's running for president because it's 91. And he won, and then takes over in 92. So it's a big like political event there. And there's going to be this senator there, and this senator is like part of the security arms committee or some bullshit. So his eyes can get into like the black ops site below because he has top secret and need to know and whatnot or whatever. So we're gonna head to this party. Us and Sev are gonna like sneak in as like, we're going as like a reporter, just like regular old reporter, and we're gonna figure that out. But and so Felix has, he's a tech wizard, so he uses his techno magic, his technomancy to create a camera that can take like a perfect image of like a retina scan. It can do like a retina scan, perfect picture, and then we can use that to like retina scan. So we just need a picture of this guy's eyes, but we need his glasses off. I'm like, why would he take his glasses off? It's all stuff we gotta figure out. And so then we head in, and immediately we run into Haro, and Haro's like, "The fuck are you doing here? Whatever, just, keep a low profile and don't do anything crazy." And then she's like, "Oh, it's so great seeing you. I'll have to talk to you again some other time." So she's playing her part. Very good. Good job, Haro. And then we have 3 choices to proceed. I did 2 of them. One of them is where we like blackmail. I don't think we even blackmail. We just like, we get the senator, we use something to get the senator to go to like the kitchen, and then we go in there, and then we knock him out, him and his goon, and then we take the picture of him there. Another way is we can stalk his assistant, who he's clearly fucking, but she's using the fucking, she's not having sex with him because she enjoys having sex with an old man. She's having sex with him so that she can record it so that she can blackmail him. And then she's got like a boy toy, another boy toy there, and she's very mid looking. So I'm like, like honestly, his wife's the old wife is much more attractive than this woman. I'm like, she's got one of those like, doesn't do her makeup, doesn't really take care of herself, kind of like a fat face. Not the wife. The wife looks, I mean, for like an old woman, she looks pretty good. Haru looks better. And while we're on the matter, Sev is gross. She's definitely got hit by that woke stick. I'm not gonna lie, and it's unfortunate because she's like a Middle Eastern, Mediterranean woman, so there's so much potential there. But she's like bald and wears gross clothes and has like I think she's supposed to be like in her 20s, but she looks like she's 45. Like it's super embarrassing. And then you have Haru, who I mentioned looks like she's 40, but she looks like a decent looking 40-year-old woman in like real life. So I don't understand why they hate black people, or they hate Middle Eastern people so much here. And as a descendant, as like a Turkish descendant, I'm pretty offended that they think that they can get away with this some old bullshit, making her look so bad, making all the white women look decent, except for the assistant. And the assistant doesn't look bad either. She just looks like, she's like one of those bitches. I hate white women, by the way. I'm not I don't hate them, but there's so many of those cunts, man, to be completely honest, who just like bring nothing to the table and just whine and complain about everything, and they all have like a look, like that weird like British look, and that's what she fucking looks like. So it's not that her model's bad. Again, it's like Seb's the only one, which is unfortunate because she's like the main girl in the crew, who just looks like ugh. And then in the game right before this, Park is super adorbs. Oh, she's so cute. Oh fuck, I miss Park, man, she was the best. So cute. I can't get over it. Anyway, Park simp for life. But yeah, so then we can get the blackmail that the assistant was going to use, and I think you can use it to blackmail the senator as well, or you can take it to the wife and be like, hey, I found this thing, you owe me a favor. And the wife's like, yeah, all right, what do you want? And you're just like, I just want a picture with the senator. I know he hates taking pictures and stuff, but please. And she's like, all right, that's fine. And so she does, and that's the route I take. I like that route. It's a lot of like interesting stuff, and like sneaking around in a parking lot and like dumping bodies, like, 'cause you beat the shit out of the boyfriend. And then at some point, like CIA guys that would recognize you because they're part of like Livingston's crew or whatever, they show up and they're like looking around and searching and stuff. And some of them might be Pantheon or not or whatever, we don't know. And so we got to be like extra careful walking around. And then there's like areas in this area that if you go into, the guards will be like, hey, what are you doing over there? But they won't like shoot you immediately. They're just like, hey, get out of here, and then they'll club you to death if you like don't. So you got to be like super sneaky. This level's excellent. This is why Black Ops is so good. Like they have levels like this. Like it's just like there's such a mix of like interesting, fun things to do. So even if the story is kind of like slow burn, which it is because it's like a spy versus spy kind of situation, that it's like you have so many of these like fun little interesting things you can do that are just like mix it up. So it's not like you're like, and this is a big problem that comes with like the new Modern Warfare games, and I'll get there. I know I keep bringing it up because it's like it like irked me so much because the old ones are so fucking good. Because they're just like, hey, it's a movie, let's go. And you're like, yeah, first-person shooter, blow the shit out of it. It's like, run through here, run through this exotic locale, kill a bunch of locals, do this. The story's fast-paced and fun. The new ones are just like slow and boring, and you're doing the same thing in every level, and it doesn't make sense, and I don't give a fuck. And then everyone's like, oh, this one level's the best. And I'm like, this one level that everyone likes was super boring compared to like every other game in the Call of Duty franchise that isn't the new Modern Warfare games. But compared to like the other levels in the new Modern Warfare games, I was like, yeah, I guess it is the best out of these like shitty levels. It's like a 3 out of 10 instead of a 1. Anyway, we're not talking about that now. We're talking about a fun game. So we can also tag fools with our camera so we can see where they're walking around and stuff. Anyway, this level's just excellent. It's like a 10 out of 10. No, it's not a 10 out of 10. It's like an 8 or 9 out of 10. It's very good. So we get we do that, and the fact that you can beat this in multiple ways and do all this stuff is great. So then at that point, once we get the retina scan, it's like, all right, so we head to the roof and there's some guards up there, so we got to sneak around there or shoot them or kill them, right? And then we get to like the place where we're going to take like the elevator down into the Black Ops site where we're going to use the retina scan, and then a security guard busts and he's like, hey, and we're like, ruh-roh. And then Sev, who is now changed from like being like a part of like she was wearing like a fancy dress and like a nice wig so she actually looked like halfway decent in the party, and now she's wearing like security guard garb, and so is Marshall, and they come in like, oh hey, what's going on, man? Let's help you out. And they're just like, yeah, I caught this guy trying to, and then they knock him out. So we take his clothes, excellent, and then we slide down into like this Black Ops site. We use the retina scan, it works, and it opens up, and immediately, oh man, it's trouble. There's some guy who's like dying, and he's like, help, and he like dies, and it's like there's dead bodies everywhere and everything, and it's like, fuck, Pantheon's here. They beat us to it. Fuck, we gotta go get Adler. So then we sneak, and then Marshall's like, hey, we can blast our way through, or you can sneak. And I'm like, sneak, hell yeah. So I sneak through almost the whole thing. I get to like the very end, and then I get caught by like one guy, and then, you know, whatever. So I kill him. Then we have to, the vault that leads to like the vault door that leads to the prison area is locked tight. And so to get in, we have to like blow up the keypad, which is like inside the vault area, to like open the lock. And it's like, how are we gonna do that? Well, we're gonna send an RC car, yep, another one, to slide on through the ventilation shaft, yep, another one. This game. And we use it to now we play a sneaky Metal Gear Solid style sneak game with the with the RC car, because if it gets seen, it gets blown up. And we got to get to this control panel, so we can't just use it to blow up, whatever. So we got to like sneak around with the car and sneak, and it has a little like, it can do like a little shock, like in Black Ops 2 with the spider. But in reality, we just want to be like sneak, and then we get the opportunity, we just race to the panel, blow it up, the door opens, we come in, we kill all those guards. Adler, we rescue Adler. He's like, thanks, brothers. And we're like, yeah, man, of course, you're my second or third favorite character in this whole in the entirety of like of Call of Duty games, not even Black Ops, because it's Woods. Oh no, Reznov's number one, and then like the original soap, yeah, not the original soap. Sorry, the original Captain Price, not the new one. The new one sucks, but oh man. So once we do that, it's time to blast our way out of here. So we do. So we get some guns and we kill. We run into our first like heavy special unit in the game, which is a guy with the big like Gatling gun. And there's different kinds of like quote unquote heavies. One of them just throws RC cars at us unlimitedly that blow up, which sucks. There's this guy, and then there's like a poison gas guy. I think that's all three. I don't think there's a flamethrower one. I kind of think there is, but I don't remember. Anyway, so we're gonna say there's just those three. So that's fun. So again, like with all heavies, you just shoot him in the head with a shotgun until he dies, and you kind of dodge out of the way so he doesn't massacre you with his thing. We blast our way through the convention hall at this point, and then at some point the police have gotten called, and we're like inside, and we're like, man, we don't want to kill all the police. That's like not our goal. Like they're just like Americans doing their patriotic duty, right? And we're all technically American. Well, we are, because it's Adler, Marshall, and I. I don't know what happened to Sev. I don't think she came down. She like went off to do some other bullshit. But then we find some motorcycles in the convention hall, and it's like, hell yeah, brother, let's do this. And so Adler and Marshall get on, and we sit bitch with a shotgun, and we just like blast through, jump over the police cars, and then the race begins, and we're chasing, like, we're getting shot by Pantheon, and we're shooting Pantheon, and it's hella fucking sweet. It's so good. It's fucking out of control. But then we get in the van that like Sev's driving, and then the level ends, and it's time to head back to the safe house with Adler in tow. So after this fun motorcycle daring escape from DC and whatnot, we get Marshall calling Harrow for some reason. He tells her the CIA is compromised and that they suspect, like Marshall and Woods and everybody, that it's Livingston. Anyway, he warns her not to trust anybody. So then later back at the safe house, we have Adler. He's discussing the plan. Sev is super mad because we're going to Iraq to look into this palace to figure out what's going on with like this thing called the Cradle, and the Cradle is like this weapon or something. And Sev's uninvited because it's Iraq, and like women and stuff. I don't exactly know why she's not invited, but she's not invited. And when Adler mentions the Cradle, we kind of spurg out again, right? Like a case spurgs out again with like the screen changing and whatnot. And so there's some palace. Alawai had the information, and he identified the specific palace, which is where the Cradle information, or the Cradle itself, was being held by Saddam. And that's part of the reason. And like, what is the Cradle? We don't know what the Cradle is. It's some sort of weapon of mass destruction, biological weapon, something. It's Black Ops, so nothing's ever what it seems. It's so good. At that point, Adler and Woods get kind of chummy. They're like flirting with each other. And then we can wander around. We talk to Adler. He calls us out for stealing all the stuff from his safe. Sucker. Seb gets really upset. She goes clubbing or something. She's like, I'm out of here. I'm going to go find something fun to do. So she heads off. Going back to Adler, he mentions that Marshall needs to toughen up. We discussed Pantheon with him. He's been hunting them down for a while. Hudson knew about him. Remember Hudson? And they're mostly American homegrown, but they become international. They're all ex-Intel and military. We discussed some of the things that went on in Black Ops 2 and how the CIA was blaming Adler for compromising the mission in Panama that got Hudson and Mason killed, right? And they did it through like faking money donated from Menendez's bank account into Adler's bank account, or like money that was supposedly tied to Menendez to Adler around the same time. So he had to like peace out and become a ghost. So we discussed his relationship with Alawai, just he was using him, blah, 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 blah. Next up, we go talk to Marshall. He's very suspectful of Adler, but we risked a lot in saving him. He mentions that he's like a wildfire, that you're going to get caught up, yada, yada, yada. But he's a true patriot and such. And then Woods continues to be excellent. He says that he's known Adler since Nam. And he says, give him 20 years, he'll grow on you. Time to go to Iraq. The reason we're going to Iraq is because the SAS, which is like the British Select Air Services, which is like the Green Berets or Navy SEALs or something. I don't know exactly how it translates. But they're out there and they're stocking anti-air units so that they can destroy them all, so they can do airstrikes in the area and destroy a bunch of stuff. And they're right outside this palace, and they want to destroy this palace, the palace we want to get to. And then we're out there, and it's Park. Yes, Park's in this game. Hell yeah. Oh, she's so good, and she's excellent. Oh man, we don't get to see too much of her pretty face. She's wearing like we're like in fucking Iraq in a combat zone, so she's wearing like her getup, and like she's got like the makeup, not like pretty makeup, but like the face paint and whatnot. But hell yeah, Park, fuck yeah, that's so awesome. It's official though. Laser can eat a dick. Oh, this part made me so happy. I was so excited. I was like, oh, Park, yes! I'm such a Park simp. I love it. Oh, she's so pretty. Anyway, we're posing as Delta Force. I think that's what I wrote down. I'm pretty sure it's something like that. So we're going to help the Brits take out the Scud site. So we land, and they have to delay these airstrikes in the palace if we can get rid of the Scuds, like to delay it like a day or something, or a few hours, so that we can go in there and see what we're going to do. So as soon as the mission starts, we're with Park. Oh, Park. And we see a Scud being launched. We rush to the site in a Jeep. Then we kill. We destroy the launcher. And once the site's clear, we blow up the Scud launcher and the missile. And then we get this open world part of the game. And I mentioned this before, but it's like, man. And this is the only level like that, right? That's like purely like, this is like, we have like a map. And it's almost like, it kind of reminds me of Far Cry 2, because Far Cry 2 is like in Northern Africa or something, but it's like very deserty and you can kind of just drive around and do stuff. Now this whole level takes place at night, and it's very minimal. It's like an open world that doesn't overstay its welcome. There's like 3 Scud sites, and there's like 4 or 5 places where we can get special weapons. There's a couple bases we can destroy, and I'm trying to remember. There's like a couple other things, but it's not a lot, right? And it's just like there's like a desert portion, there's like a town portion, and then there's like a kind of mountainous region. And so we can kind of just roll around and do whatever. And honestly, if you just want to destroy the 3 Scud sites, you're good. But if you go complete like all the quests, or a majority of the quests, you can unlock a helicopter, like an airstrike. If you save some like special forces guys, I think there were Rangers or something, or Delta Force. I don't remember exactly. But then so we can do that. And you can unlock like a motor team. So that's what we do. We just simp for Park. We just like ride around for a few hours of game time. That's it. It was like a couple hours. This is like one of the best open worlds I've ever played in my entire life, because it was in it, and then I did all the missions, and then right as I was getting tired of it, it was over. And I was like, this is great. And the whole time we're with Park, which is excellent. She's making comments and stuff, and I was, oh, so good. God damn it. So I literally wrote this down in my notes. Destroy Scuds, simp for Park. Rescue actual Delta Force, simp for Park. Get caches of weapons, simp for Park. You get the idea. So oh, it's so good. I love this level so much. But again, it's like nothing else like this in the game. So it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's not like again and again and again and repeat. It's like every level in this game. I think there's actually like one mission, and that's it. That's like a Call of Duty level, right? Like a Call of Duty old Modern Warfare level, where you just like kind of fight and kill your way through without having any other kind of bullshit going on. Man, it's so good. I wish Park was in more of this game. She's so excellent. I mean, I would have taken her over Seb. Like, I don't know. Just bring her back. Fuck you guys. Making me sad. All right. When it's all said and done, we after we putz around and have our date with Park in the desert at night, it's time to assault the palace. So we get rolling with the full crew. There's jeeps, bikes, helicopters. We hit that bitch real hard. We go out, we assault the palace. We get into the bunker where the WMD supposedly is. And in the bunker, we find a vault. We hack into it. And we find this biohazard cabinet, and we open up this little cute containment box, and there it is. There's the cradle. It's a bioweapon. Excellent. It's just a sample, though. And then Adler finds a disc that is, he's like, oh, it's encrypted. And I'm like, there's no computer in here, is there? Like, how do you know it's encrypted? Anyway, whatever. But then there's some paperwork that talks about Gusev. He's a Soviet Union biochemist or something. And it looks like the cradle came from somewhere else, somewhere in America, and maybe he was rebuilding it or whatever. At that point, Gladney, who's like the SAS guy who's working for Park, or working with Park, because she's MI6, which is like the CIA of the... It's like James Bond, right? Summons us to help, so it's time to bounce. We kill our way out of the palace, we climb up to the roof, we kill some more, and then helicopter out of there. And it's like, bye, Park, my heart will always go with you, or whatever. The Nazi salute is everyone's doing these days. I'll miss you. Anyway, back at the safe house, Marshall and Sev are talking about how Haro is not available. Like, he can't get a hold of her and stuff. And then she's like, well, maybe you shouldn't be getting in touch with him. Anyway, Marshall invites Seb to come to the USA with Case and Marshall. We find Felix just like cooking some goulash, just doing his thing. He's like, I'm running the disk through like some program to like crack it and de-encrypt it, which that stuff can take days. That's fair, especially in the 90s. And that should have a bunch of information about the cradle. So we talked to him about cooking, also why he's a pacifist, and he just got tired of murdering dudes and stuff, so he developed new morals. But we'll see. We'll see if he holds on to that later, because he doesn't. But we talk about the decryption and all that stuff. We next find Woods. He's chatting with Marshall. After Woods drops a TV when he gets super mad, and Marshall offers the help. And at this point, I'm like playing this game, and I'm like, this is like a theater play, like the way it's set up. And then it got me thinking more about like the modern like Call of Duty games, so starting with like Cold War and this and the Modern Warfare games, which at this point I've like played, and they're terrible. But it's interesting because like Cold War, and to some extent World War II, and this one were all like Treyarch games essentially, like the Treyarch family of games. They're very much like, they're like plays, like the blocking, like I did theater for a couple of years, musical theater and all that shit. But the way they're blocked, the way people's characters set up, the kind of drama, it's all very play oriented. It's like you walk into a scene, and then there's like a theater, there's like a set, and then they do their thing, and then it's like very, it's very interesting how it's set up like that. And while the Modern Warfare games, and I'll talk more about this, they're like telenovelas. They're so fucking dramatic, and everything's just kind of like, it's like pauses for you to be like surprised. But they're so poorly written, I didn't give a fuck. But again, we'll get there in a couple of weeks when you start that. So we watched a stage play essentially of Marshall and Woods talking about Panama, and he talks about, I never believed Adler was the bad guy, and he's so good. Woods is the best. He's like, he's a psychopath, but he's our psychopath. It's so good. The writing on Woods is excellent. It's so good. Marshall nerds out on him a little bit. He's like, hey man, you used to be like Captain America, now you're Professor X. And Woods is like, get the fuck out of here. What the fuck are you talking about? It's so, the writing in it's so good. The story of this is good. I like it. I like Black Ops. Oh man, I appreciate it. Very melodramatic. Like I said, very like stage play, but it's good. Last we go check on Sev. She needs money to take out Avalon's criminal underground. That's why she's here, because she feels like she can help out. Anyway, so it's time to the States. So somewhere in Kentucky, there was a secret research lab called Casper Solutions that kind of broke down at some point. Adler thinks that this is where the cradle was developed. And because there was all sorts of classified stuff going on about 10 years ago, and then all went dark. Ooh, it's scary. So we're with Marshall. Seb's like somewhere else, and we're heading down this elevator as we do. We have these like elevator contraption things where we like hook into like the elevator string or whatever it's called, and then we can go up and down. That we've used multiple times, and it breaks. The elevator breaks, and then the ladder we grab onto breaks, and we crash down into some water. Or gas mask breaks. We're in some like goo, and when we hop out, there's like gas everywhere. Yep, bro. So we almost immediately start hallucinating. The mannequins attacking us and such, and boy does it get worse. So we head to the main area, and there's this console with like 4 keys, and we need a key from each boss of each sector of this like research base to get it. So it's like a totally different thing. It's like kind of an open world, but not really, because there's like 4 sectors, and we have to go to one sector first, and they reach like these kind of mini things. And it's not like we're going around doing quests like in the Iraq level. It's like we're really just like hitting this sector, then hitting that sector, then hitting the next sector. And it's like very old school game design, right? It's like almost like a Doom game. And it's like me thinking, it's like, wow, they made this game so well, because it's like they're just taking like each level is like, it's almost like a rip of like a different first person shooter or third person shooter style game. So we go to the first section, and there we get a grappling hook, and then we fight zombies like it's fucking Doom. And there's also a Cerberus monster like shows up, and once we defeat that, and this is all like, remember, it's all hallucinations, right? Because of the gas and whatnot. So when we beat that, we get the card. Then we start hearing a voice, and it's egging us on. It's talking about, it's like we have been here before, and we start picking up like hints, and none of it's like anyone telling us. We like get a phone call that we listen to, we find some paperwork, and it's like there's experiments going on here, like a super soldier experiments, and that Case definitely was somehow involved, and that he definitely has some crazy thing going on because he keeps hearing these voices, or this woman's voice telling him to do stuff or explaining things, or like telling him like we don't talk about Cradle, we don't talk about Pantheon, like Pantheon is somehow related to this stuff. It's so good, it's so Black Ops, it's just fucking great. But we gather these test subjects and stuff, and it's just goddamn so good, so good. Black Ops 6, fucking fantastic. So the Cradle was a weapon, was originally designed to be to make super soldiers, and then it kind of like made people crazy, and the only one who survived was like Case. I think we get all that information in this level. So the next part is there's like a mannequin we got to blow up, and there's other mannequins that chase us when we don't look at them, and then and then we find out that funding was cut, and we were released, and they were supposed to like cure Case and send him back into the CIA and like erase his memory, but it like didn't work out completely because he still has some of that super soldier stuff, which like explains why you can play Call of Duty and like be a superhero and not really have any negative side effects. The next stop is kind of like Prey, if you remember Prey. No, the new one that was made by I think it was the guys who did Dishonored. But there's an invisible enemy, and it's not invisible. He like pretends to be like a chair or whatever, and you have to blow him up. So once you get that, that's the next one. And the last one's this guy. It's like this big fucking dude in a tank, like a water tank. And we hit him and kill him. And then once we do that, we get all this stuff. We head back to the main area. We fight some more zombies, and then we head up this elevator. And in the elevator, we fight a wizard who summons zombies. It is crazy. It's so crazy. While we're taking the elevator up, we start hearing more voices, and it's like, yeah, Cradle was a part of Pantheon, which was a CIA program, but once Livingston found out about the experiments, he cut all the funding and shut it down. So Pantheon was originally a part of the CIA. It got kind of pushed off, so that whole thing about it being part of like intel and ex-military and stuff was true. And Livingston definitely, he knew about it because he cut it off, so he's not telling us the whole truth. But it seems like he is not a member of this Pantheon, right? And then we also learned that this whole thing with Cradle and all this information about Pantheon and whatever, Case knew all this information, but they use like CIA magic to push it down into his head like they do, like Black Ops does. Okay, so we kill So once the wizard and zombies are down and we're done with all that, we see two zombies run up and like knock us down, and we're trying to like fight them off, but it ends up just being Marshall and Seb. And so they're able to like come to, like Case is able to like push it off, like the crazy hallucinations, and then Seb finds some more information. There was Cradle here, but it got taken away at some point. So time to head back to the safe house. And at this point, Felix has decrypted the disc, and it is Gusev. And we see this video of him gassing a person that causes them to tear apart another person in the cell. And then we hear a voice, and the voice is dun dun dun. Haro, no, she was a part of it all along. Betrayal. Damn. Marshall loses it and storms off. And then like a day goes by, and there was a literal storm, and it looks like an earthquake of some sort that broke windows in the road and everything, right? So poetic. Again, it's like a stage play. It's like Shakespeare. So we start off like helping Sev bring in some tarps, and I guess we should all just be glad that we're not dead. We didn't all die from this crazy thing. We hear Sev and Felix talking, and they're talking about how Pantheon is tied into like the specific family, like the Lugetzis or something, that are part of Avalon. So we're going back to Avalon, of course. Marshall comes back, here's some stuff. He storms off. Sev follows him. Again, we're watching like a stage play take place. It's great. I love it. I love every second of it. It's very dramatic and very good. Sev's trying to be like, I can relate to what you're saying. It reminds me a lot of like if you've been to like a one-man show or like some of these kind of like way off Broadway, like you just you go to like a small theater and you just watch like a few people put on a play. It's excellent. And he's like you can't relate, don't you try to relate, something, and then she's like, fuck yourself. So we go talk to Woods. We try to talk about the Cradle, but we can't. We hear that voice like, you can't talk about Cradle, you can't talk about this. So we talk about Haro instead. So And then we mentioned like maybe Haro's the one who did this whole Panama thing with Adler and whatnot. At this point, I didn't mention this before, but when we were in Iraq with Beautiful Park, Adler stuck around because he was going to look for something. He's still trying to figure out some stuff. So Woods mentioned this as well. We talked to Sev. She tells us more about her past. She had a boyfriend, Pascal, I think is his name. Her boyfriend was working for like another family, and she, when he came over, and then she ended up having to kill him because like the family she was working for, and this is like mafia families, right? The family that she was working for was like, oh, he's a betrayer. He's just using you to get information from us, so you had to kill him. And then she did, and then dun dun dun. You guessed it. It's a Black Ops game. It was all a lie. Sad. Oh, sad times. So at this juncture, we're going to infiltrate the casino that the Lugetzis run because we got some information about like 24B, which is like. This is all from the decrypted disk, which is like the safety deposit number for like a safety deposit box in the casino. And so we're gonna run this whole like heist, and now we got a heist level. God, this game is so good, and everyone's coming. Not Woods, but Felix, Marshall, Sev, and Case are all gonna head into like this casino, and we're gonna do this whole like not casino royale. What are we talking about? We're doing like a Ocean's 11 style like heist. Oh, it's so good. Another fucking great level. This campaign is so excellent. So we head to the casino. And we start off playing Marshall, and he needs to get into the high roller bar so that he can cause like a distraction, so that Felix can get like a access card, so that Sev can get into like the vault and and then they can access the vault, and then they can set off security and distract everybody, and then Case is gonna come in through like the canals and sneak in, and like he's gonna like take over the cameras so Woods can help Marshall cheat and win like the high roller bar. It's like this whole crazy scheme, and it's so good, and it's so quick and like very enjoyable. And then Sev also gives us like a card so that we can cheat. I know he didn't just have that coming in, like they were gonna search him for having extra cards, but whatever. So he goes to gamble. And then we head over. We take over Case. He does this whole thing where he hijacks the cameras and whatever, and then he goes to get captured on purpose because they're gonna take him to the security's gonna take him to a place which is right next to the security deposit boxes, so he can get access to that information, and then we can all peace out of here at the end of like the whole scam we're running. And so then we play poker as Marshall. We do some Texas Hold'em. We use our cheat card. We use Woods to help us cheat through the game. It's pretty good. Once we win, we get the high roller thing, and then we go and we put like a device on the slot machine so it jackpots, and then we distract and then Felix comes in as like an IT guy who's working on the thing or whatever, and then while he's doing that, Marshall like steals like a security card, gives it to Felix. Felix uses it to get to a back room. He then has to sneak around some of the security guards. He's not supposed to be there, so he plays Felix doing that. He has to get to a server. He has to reprogram the card, and then there's like something else that happens, so then he has to sneak out of there where they're looking for what's going on because he makes some noise. And then he gives a card to Sev, and then we take over Sev, and she's pretending to be like an employee of the casino, and so she heads down to the vault area, and then she has to sneak around and kill a bunch of dudes. She fills a cart full of weapons, and then right as she's like heading out of that, Felix and Marshall are like following a security guy down there for some reason to get his payment because he like won the jackpot. I think that's probably what was going on. And then Felix beats the shit out of this guy, and it's like, well, so much for morals. Then we blow the shit out of the what's it called, the vault. So it sets off an alarm. We go inside. We get kind of like Felix has to use that to get access to. I think he uses it to like unlock the security deposit boxes or something. I was kind of confused what was going on there. And then they start blowing the shit out of people. So then we go back to Case, and so the guards who are with him, some of them take off, and then one of them starts beating him, and then we have to do like the unlock mini game. Yeah, this game has like one of those, but it's pretty simple. It's like a Skyrim. There's no reason to change perfection. So we're able to escape that, and we beat the shit out of that guy, and then we grab a gun, we blow the shit out of some dudes, and then we grab the box 24B, get where we came for all that information. And we bust out of there, and hey, it's everybody. We're all together. All right, including Felix. So it's time to like kill our way out of here. Everybody kills, especially Felix. Fucking liar. And then we hop into a boat in the canals and head back to the safe house. Great times. So once we're back, Wood talks to Felix, talks about how Felix was right and that Lugetzis were laundering money for Pantheon. We also find a wire transfer to Gusev, and Gusev is apparently in southern Iraq because that's where the wire transfer went. So Case and Felix are knocking some brewskis back and talking about, they're talking about what happened and all that good stuff. And then Adler gets in contact and mentions that Gusev is gone and that he's heading for Kuwait and that he's trying to fly the fuck out of there. And that he's going to utilize one of his contacts in CENTCOM to hopefully stop his flight or to hopefully help us to move and capture him before he's able to escape. And then we also learn that Pantheon is trying to frame Saddam Hussein somehow, that he's actually in charge of the attack and not Pantheon or whatever. All right, so we have to head out like in the first thing in the morning because we're like in Bulgaria or something. So heading over to Kuwait is like a few-hour trip. So we're gonna get some rest, get going first thing in the morning, meet up with Adler, and then figure this stuff out. Or I should say, Case is gonna go by himself. So then we hang out with Sev and Felix, and we talk about what happened in the casino a little bit. Felix is really ashamed of his actions. He lost control, attacked somebody, feels bad about it. Something indulgences. Sev loves it. She's like, good, I'm glad we can all be human and something. So we go chit-chat with Marshall. We chit-chat about Haro and the cradle and the level of potency, and then we go talk to Woods, and he talks about how if we clear our names, it'll be hard to go back. He mentions that he wants to go back and raise David Mason from Black Ops 2. And that he's no father figure, but David needs somebody in his life. And it's like, oh, that's sweet. You did a good job. He became a Navy SEAL or something. So then we start the mission with this sweet-ass cutscene. We see Adler just like, we see some planes attacking a convoy, and then Adler's just standing around smoking. And then, hey, it's Sims. Hey, that guy. Yeah, I barely remember him, but he's around. I guess he's some fucking crazy 40-year-old who's now a captain in the Marine Corps. So he fought in Nam in the 70s when he was like in his 20s, and then he joins the CIA as a operative or whatever, and then he like re-enlists as a captain in like his 40s. I guess that's a thing. The Marines don't have a National Guard, so the whole timeline seems kind of suspect, but like whatever. It's not real. Super sus anyway. Adler convinces him to help us, and Sim's like, I can't help you. I'm like, I have a real job now. I can't be doing all your crazy bullshit, Adler. And he's like, no, it'll be cool. It'll be totally fine. And then Sims is like, oh, I'm gonna go, but only to make sure you don't commit any war crimes. So then we're to Hilo. We're flying out with Marshall and Sims. No Marshall, with Sims and Adler. And Sims is looking good for like a 42-year-old. Sims reminds us that we have rules of engagement. Yeah, no, motherfucker, whatever. And Adler's like, fuck your rules, I don't care. So we hit the airport, we kill. It's this is like the Call of Duty level. Like we land, we kill dudes, we head into the airport, we kill, we head into a plane, we kill, it's the wrong plane, dudes on the other side, we go out to kill some more, tanks start rolling up, we hop into one of the tanks, we drive that tank around, blow shit up, we're blowing up through more air the airport, more tarmacs, all this stuff. It's super chaotic, it's super fun, and we're just like blowing shit up, and like, it's so dope. Eventually we see the airplane taking off, and we shoot it with the tank. Sure. Blows the shit out of that tank, and then Adler rolls up and grabs Gusev, who's the only one who lived apparently, and then he pushes him against the engine, and he's like, you're gonna tell us all this shit or you're gonna die. And then he hands it over to us, Case, and Case, we don't give a fuck, so we're like pushing him into the engine that's still going from like the blown up plane, and he finally tells us, he's like, yeah, Cradle was, they had this experiment and it got completely destroyed over in Kentucky or whatever, and then his job was to like recreate Cradle for Pantheon and to turn it into a weapon, because remember originally it was just being used as like a chemical to make super soldiers or whatever. And so we find all that information. We find out about Haro, and we find out that, and then and he's like, that's all I know. And then Adler's like, kill this motherfucker. And so we're about to, and then he's like, no, there's more. You got to go to Vertuka, the prison camp, and then that's where the weapon's being held. And we're like, all right, cool, now kill him. And then we're like, okay. And then Sims like pushes us aside, grabs him, and it's like, you motherfuckers lied to me. And then Case and Adler are like, all right, whatever, bitch, see you later. And we just get the fuck out of there. So Vorkuta, yes. This level we play as Sev, and it's all right. It's like it again, right? It's a totally different game. So now we're playing Sev, and she's like a saboteur. So it's kind of like an open world, but not open world like the Iraq level. It's open world like that level in Cold War where we played as the Russian guy, where he has like multiple angles and ways to like go about and kind of figure out how to get Mason, or was it Mason? It was Bell and, was it Adler? Yeah, I think it was Adler. Bell and Adler into the Kremlin. But in this case, Seb's just rolling around. She has to disable the satellite or the radar. She has to disable a helicopter, and she has to disable like a Scud launcher, right? And there's like, each one of those has like 3 different ways you can do it. Like you can put water in the gas tank. You can like flirt with the guy and get him to like change like the training pattern for the radar so it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. You can just blow everything up. Right, so there's just like the simple solution if you really want to do that, but it's a great level, and you just kind of go around, do whatever you got to do. I had a blast, and again, it's like peak Black Ops. It's so fucking good. Treyarch really cooking with this level. And at some point, while Seb's doing all this stuff, she sees a security feed of Haro, and Haro's in the underground lab or something. So then she lets Marshall know, like, when we're ready to set off this operation. And Marshall's like, all right, new plan. We're going to go in there and we're going to grab Haro and destroy the prison and capture all this stuff. So then at that point, Seb knocks out the base. We roll in a helicopter and we kill. And then we get to the underground. As we get to the underground, Adler's like, I'm going to stay out here and Overwatch. And then Haro starts contacting specifically Marshall, especially as we get lower and lower and we lose communications with Adler and Woods. And she's like taunting us and all this stuff, and Marshall's like slapping back about she's being a different person than she is, and she's not being her true self or some bullshit. And then we go through the tunnel, and eventually we split up. And then she contacts us directly. She offers us. She's like, hey, you want to be an asshole and betray your friends? And I'm like, no, go fuck yourself. And she's like, you're special, Case. You need to help us and not be helping those assholes out. And you're like, you're the fucking asshole, you betrayer. And so we ignore her, mostly because we can't talk back. Unless we get a prompt. But as we come out of the Taros, we get hit by a guy, and then Haro comes running in, and she's like, she's been a real cunt. We go back and forth with her, because this time we can actually make responses about biological weapons, and that's when Marshall and Sev roll in to rescue and grab Haro. So it's time to get back to the Rook. And then in this level, we get some like Rorschach imagery, and we get Marshall reflecting on Haro's upbringing and how she was raised by CIA parents, and she was, so patriotic and all this stuff, and how something changed and all this stuff. And then we're just in the safe house, and we're hanging out with Seven Woods when Marshall comes in. Time for the interrogation. But apparently Haro had a tracker on her, so Pantheon's like on their way. So we're going to get attacked. At that point, Marshall and Adler are going to do their thing with the CIA memories bullshit, like they did with Mason and Bell. So, and so they're like, all right, we're going to get to started in this in a minute. So this is your last chance to go do go do side quests or get your achievements or trophies or whatever, and to talk to everybody. And then we talked to Adler, and he talks about Haro when she started. So apparently he talks a lot about how she started and how she was so motivated and all this stuff, because apparently he was like her mentor or something. And then we ask him about what he's going to do, and he mentions MK Ultra super drugs and stuff like that. He's going to induce like a schizophrenic episode to her to like split her mind, to have like the good Haro like help us, because the bad Haro's like completely in charge. And talk about some other subjects. He's like, oh, and then Bell something I killed him in an Overlook. Just kidding. He doesn't say shit about that. Then Woods and Adler talk some more, if she will survive or not. And then at that point she gets rolled on in. Marshall gives her one more chance to tell us something. She continues to be obstinate, and so it's time for drugs. And this part is pretty fun. So how this works, it's almost like 3 different levels or 4 different levels that are all like compacted into like this one like storyline. So there's 3 different things that occur. So we go through Haro's memories. That's like kind of the main story beats, and I'm going to spend most of the time talking about. But then also to unlock some of those story beats, we have to do these like funny levels. Like one of them's like we have to solve like a puzzle. One of them we have to like go through like a zombie, it's almost like a Resident Evil style level. And then the last one is we have to do like it's like a Doom, right? Like the new Doom, where it's like an arena level with a bunch of zombies and stuff. Meanwhile, periodically, while we're like Haro is going through her memories and all this stuff with Marshall and then with Woods, is that we go back to Case, and Case has to like defend the Rook. And so we go out and we just do like base defense, like blowing stuff up or throwing mines, hitting rocket or hitting helicopters with rockets and all that stuff. So I'm not going to really talk about any of that. We're just going to talk about the story stuff, which is like Haro's memory. So, okay. So it's pretty trippy, but the whole thing is her mind fixing it. Oh yeah. So there's this whole thing with like, she has a mirror that gets broken and we have to like solve the mirror. It's very reminiscent of like Cinderella from Nikkei, if you will, which these games are not related at all and did not pull inspiration from each other. But it's interesting. They both use the mirror and a broken mirror to describe somebody who's going through like psychological trauma. Okay. So, which I guess is like through Looking Glass, which is Alice in Wonderland, so maybe they're both pulling from that. Anyway, so when she's like, it seems like 10, there's an incident in her home. Oh yeah, both parents are CIA, and at some point the house is being like robbed, quote unquote, and Haro is like a 10-year-old, like hears noises, and her mom comes in and tells her to hide under the bed, and she's carrying a gun, and she's like very concerned, and then she leaves the bed. And this doesn't happen like all at one at a time. This is like you get that part, like I said before, and then we get like some other section, and then we come back. So I'm going through like the story at the end. Right after all this, I'm not going to go back and forth. Anyway, so she's like, no, I'm not going to stay here because I hear more noises. So she like looks out to her door and her mom's there, and then her mom turns and sees her because she's like, Mom, and then mom turns and the mom gets shot. So good job, Haru, killed your mom. And then the dad comes running in and grabs her and shuts the door and puts her in the closet. and then oh yeah, and then a guy shoots. She's like, the dad's standing before the door, and then he gets shot through the door, and then this guy comes in, and like they fight, and he's like throwing him around and punch, and then the dad gets shot, and then the guy is like sitting over the dead, and he's calling it in and being like, okay, everybody's dead, and Haru's just in the closet. And then initially she's like it was Adler who did this. Let me see like an image of that. And then we kind of go forward to like when she joined the CIA. She talks about, this inspired me to join the CIA. I wanted to find out about the murders. I wanted to understand what happened, but all the files of my parents were missing. Everything was corrupt. And then one day there was just a disc in my office, and then it was proof that the CIA did kill my parents and that it was Adler. And then she remembers seeing Adler. And then Woods at this point is like, that's bullshit. It wasn't Adler. And if it was Adler, it's because they were, your parents were like counter spies or whatever. They were like going against the government. And she's like, no, it's impossible. And this whole time we're getting bad guy Haru and good guy Haru arguing as well, because remember, she's having like a schizophrenic break. And then evil Haru at that point, Woods is talking about her getting manipulated, and Pantheon's manipulating her, and then evil Haru slaps back and is like, they're going to cause problems for America, something about and the Haru realizes that it actually was not Adler. She remembers like hearing the conversation when she was a kid, and she's like, that was definitely not Adler's voice who did that. So it might have not even been the CIA who like caused this thing to happen. But eventually, good Haru lets Woods know that the cradle is in DC. That the plan is they're going to set it off, cause whatever problems it caused there, and then it's going to get blamed on Livingston because they planted the information that he knew about this and whatnot. And once he's gone, Haru's going to be one who takes over the CIA, and this will give Pantheon more control over the government. And it's very like shady stuff. It's not like the end of the world, or they're going to destroy America or anything. It's just very black ops, where it's like, and then this terrible thing will happen and life will go on. And at that point, that's like the kind of end of that story, because Pantheon breaks into the Rook, and then Woods gets into a gunfight with these. He's like a fucking boss. He kills like 4 or 5 guys before he kind of gets knocked down. This dude's in a wheelchair, and he gets overwhelmed. And then they release Haru, and she starts taunting him, and she stabs him, and is like, good luck, fuck you. And at that point, we switch over to Case. Case and Marshall like rush through the Rook. Adler helps them, Sev helps them, but they can't like follow necessarily. And then we get out and we see Haru getting into a helicopter that's about to take off, and we shoot at her. She like falls in the helicopter. They shoot a rocket back at the Rook. Marshall gets like blown away, so it's up to Case. So Case uses his like super strength or whatever, because you see the screen like modulate like when he hears about the cradle and stuff, and he goes running like crazy and kills this guy. That he jumps onto the helicopter as it's taken off, and then like there's like this fun battle where we like pull guys out of the helicopter, and Haru's like trying to knock us out, and we climb on in and we start fighting her, and then she pulls out a gun, and we knock the gun so that it shoots the pilot, and then the whole thing like crashes. And then we hear Marshall like calling for us, and then we kind of like wake up, and we're like in the water or something, so that's why we didn't completely die. And then Haru starts like beating the shit out of us, and then we see this thing, and we grab it and we smash it into her face, and it's the cradle. Hooray. So it's some cradle yumminess. So now we hear the voice again, and the voice is like, finish her off. And so we do, and beat the shit out of her, and then it's a fade to black, and then we hear Marshall. Oh no, we didn't hear Marshall before. That's when we hear Marshall calling for Case. So is Case dead? I don't know, guess we'll find out. But 2 weeks go by, and at this point we see like Woods, Adler, and Marshall are in a van. They pull up to like this place in Bulgaria, it seems, near the Rook, and there's Livingston. Livingston's like, hey, we cleared your name somewhat, but like I want you guys to stay Black Ops. I don't want you guys to like come back to the force or anything, or to the CIA, because you can work better here, and there's like moles in the CIA, and we don't know who's corrupted by Pantheon or any of that stuff. So and they're like, what do you want us to do? And he's like, I'm gonna give you guys whatever funds, whatever this, whatever that, but just keep protecting America, and we need you guys, and everything's gonna be completely off the books so that no one can trace it or anything. And then like Woods and Marshall look at each other, they seemingly agree. Seb's like in the wood line with a sniper rifle just in case, and Adler's just chilling in the van. And at some point Livingston like looks back and see Adler, and it's like, you're all cleared. Like you're all good to go. And so at that point, while Livingston kind of like wraps up that part, and then as Livingston's talking about moles in the CIA and stuff, we like switch over to like a CIA room, like it seems like Haru's office, and we get this guy who's like typing away on a computer, and he's looking very menacing, and that is, bam, the end of Black Ops 6. Black Ops 6. Fuck. Anyway, excellent. If you can't tell if you've watched this whole thing and you haven't figured it out, I think this game is great. This is some peak Call of Duty shit that going on. Like everything about it was fun. It was cool. The levels were great. Again, I hear the multiplayer is hot shit, just full of cheaters and just not the best. But the story is so good. So whatever Treyarch's doing, starting with World War II, which was fun, and then a Cold War, which was great, and Black Ops 6. Whatever game they make next, Black Ops 7 or whatever they want to call it, I hope they keep this team around because they are so good. And the Modern Warfare games are such fucking garbage when it comes to the single player. And like I said, well, I'll get to it. The next, like, I released these. I'm doing like the Shining games in this. So it's going to be, next week will be Shining game, then we'll start hitting Modern Warfare, 2 weeks Modern Warfare 2, 2 weeks Modern Warfare 3, and then we'll finish off with Black Ops 3, which takes place in like 2067 or something. It's like so far in the future, it's ridiculous. But it is still an excellent Black Ops game that has like nothing to do with any of this stuff. That's why we're going to cap it off. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. I highly recommend, if you enjoy like video games, that Black Ops 6, I mean, besides like Sev being hit in the face with like an ugly, not even an ugly stick, like a woke stick, it's not even that woke. It's just like you look at her face and you're like, you really made this woman ugly. Like, I don't understand like why this 20-year-old is supposed to look like she looks like she's 50 years old. Like, it's like there's nothing appealing about this, right? Like it's like I could just like Google like Middle Eastern women and like it's so confusing. Anyway, but that's the worst part, right? So I'm not saying you should go spend $60 on this game, but in the future, if you can find a way to play it, or you're like using your buddy's account, or it pops up on like Game Pass and you already got it, like I've definitely played through the campaign. It's not super long. It's very good. It's very Black Opsy. I mean, you already know the whole story, so, but highly recommend it. It's like an A+. This is peak, right? Like just these, dude, Call of Duty is crushing it, outside of the new Modern Warfare games. So good. Cool. So go ahead, like, share, subscribe, comment, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.